Here with new head coach Bernie Ochoa for the preseason interview before soccer season of 2026. What's it like to be back in Seward? How long had it been since you had been to Seward?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. Appreciate everything you do for us. And I know it's obviously been over 20 years since I graduated. I was back obviously for the Hall of Fame induction, which was a good opportunity for me to come back and kind of see the development and how the school has grown over the years from when I was here to not having the amazing facilities we have now, and only having limited facilities, but it's great to see again the development of our campus and continuing to grow, and it's just exciting times for me. Who would ever thought that I'd come back to my alma mater and be able to be the head coach. Obviously, Jason being a big part of it, I always give him a lot of respect, because we were college teammates, and he gave me this opportunity, and it was hard for him after 18 years of being at the head and stepping aside to give me the opportunity. Definitely meant a lot to me, obviously, to know that he trusted me with the program, and hopefully that I can fulfill his expectations and high expectations that he's fulfilled in the past years and be able to continue the success of the program.
Yeah. What was one of the best memories like as a player, just on and off the field, when you look back?
I think when you look back, it's the experience the overall experience, right? I think between just the school in general, what the school did for me to be able to be on the field, because everything kind of goes together, and then eventually my teammates, right? My teammates, my coaches, and everyone along the way just being very supportive. Because I am kind of in a unique situation, right? We always talk about the unique part of Concordia, which it is, because as a player, it was difficult for me to make that transition on, going from California to Nebraska. I didn't know what to expect, and then now it's kind of 20 years later, or a little bit over that, doing the exact same thing. Now as a coach, so it's definitely God's blessing, to know that. This is what he wanted me to do, and it gave me the opportunity to be back, and I'm definitely grateful for it.
What was the first thing you did once you accepted the job?
I accepted the job, went back home, and talked to my family, and I sat there for a quick second. I think more than anything, I was living in a hotel, so it gave me an opportunity to kind of sit back and soak it all in, and knew that this is what I've always wanted to do, and the opportunity was in front of me, and it was, embracing it and, doing the best job that I could to fulfill my dreams.
What was the biggest thing you've done so far to set up, a new culture for Concordia men's soccer, and how do you get guys to buy into your what you're trying to do? Obviously after having 18 years of, the same head coach of the program.
Yeah. I think that's the key thing, right? Is trying to build a program. How do you start it? Where do you start? Because again, it's a lot of work. A lot of work with especially on our end of it, dealing with the internationals. Domestic players. Not only just have a team, but you have a wide variety of players from all over the world. And then I think it's the buy-in is establishing relationships. I think the first thing was getting these kids to understand and trust you, right? Trust you as a coach, and how you do that is by setting those individual meetings, right? Meeting with everybody as a team, but obviously meeting individually with each guy, getting to know everybody, and getting them to understand that, also I think the respect comes into play, right? Not only the trust, but the respect, and knowing that I'm not just any guy coming in. I think it helped that I was an alumni, right, from Concordia, and giving them that experience, and I played here, and what I went through, and then eventually just getting to know them, right, on a personal basis. Outside of soccer, right? Because again, I think that's what I've told most of my players, is knowing that if we can trust each other, we can respect each other, and buy in, and knowing that I'm here for you, you're here for me. That this part and our trust and respect and our building that will relate into onto the field, and what it is I'm trying to transmit to them. Again, off the field and on the field. So establishing the relationships more than anything, and I think we've been able to do that slowly but surely. It's helped that I speak a little bit of Spanish, so with some of my internationals, and it's been able to be helpful on all aspects of it.
Yeah. What would you, if you're trying to describe to your coaching and play style for someone, what would you say?
Just being, effective, right? Being effective, understanding that the game of soccer sometimes we complicate it, right? And we try to do too much. That's one thing I do also. I don't limit my players. Tactically, I like to play possession, right? I like to hold the ball. I like to keep the ball. And then the timing of the game, right? Knowing the game, when to go forward, when to not go forward. But I give a lot of responsibility to first of all, my assistants, and then to my team. And at the end of it, I don't limit them to anything, right? I ask them a lot. It's called to adapt, right, to any given situation. So, and I think that's what it is, right? You kind of give them the liberty of figuring out what to do in a game, right? Because again, I could only tactically tell them, this is how I want to play. This is how I want things done. But ultimately, they're on the field, right? They perform, and so I think giving them the responsibility and knowing that, guys, hey, it's up to you guys to figure things out. I think at the end of it, it's important to also know that I want the team to be team led, right? So I have the 3 captains. I want them to take over, right? At the end of it, it's my idea then to, my responsibility to support that, right? Support them, and I think that the more responsibility you put on them and the less it's more on us and just kind of collaborating together, and that's where we can be successful.
Yeah. How big is it to just have some guys returning, such as Hugo, Mike, Sean, Nico, Kai? You could go down the list for a couple of guys, but
yeah. No, I've said it all along. I think even with the transition, Jason, he didn't leave me with just anything, right? I mean, he did a great job of recruiting some of these guys and bringing them in and recruiting the right guys, right? And it's crucial, right? Because a lot of these guys are coming in. Some are experienced, some are not, but at the same time, are great kids, great people, guys that I can relate to, guys I can trust, like I mentioned, to let me know like what we need to do. And so it was crucial because those guys have helped me out with the transition. That's from what to when building a program, you want to know what things were working, what things weren't working, what things we can continue to work on. And so they've been a great avenue, right? Great source for me with the transition, and they've kind of accepted me, right? We always talk about family. And a lot of these guys, it's hard, right? I mean, they've been with Jason, and they've been a part of that structure for so many years that it's hard to just bring somebody on and be like, you know what, we're going to trust you. So I think along the way, these guys from the get-go, we've been able to establish that, right? We've been able to just kind of understand, like, guys, I'm not here to, stir things up or change things drastically. It's more of like, how can we continue to improve with what you've done in the past, because it's been working, and be able to then eventually get where we need to be, right, and take that next step forward. So it's been crucial. These guys are amazing guys, and again, I give a lot of credit to them with where we're at with the transition, for sure.
Yeah, obviously, last year won the GPAC tournament with Jason, and then also made it to the second round for the first time in history. How do you kind of just continue to build on that success?
Yeah. I think, again, I tell Jason all the time, like, you didn't make it easy on me, for sure. I mean, because, where do you go from there, right? I mean, you win a GPAC tournament, you get to nationals, you get to the second round, like you mentioned. It's like, so then how do we prepare? Where are we at? I think at the end of it, it's a new season, right? And I think that can't get ahead of ourselves more than anything, and make sure that we just take it one game at a time, right? We continue to grow each and every game. We take it one game at a time. You win the first game, and hopefully we just keep feeding off that. Hopefully we can keep winning them. And then, this team has been through everything. A lot of the guys had adversities, starting off last year 0-4. So I know that my guys are good, right, when adversity comes through. I mean, they're good about having to deal with that and overcome it. So, yeah, at the end of it, I like it. I like to have the spotlight on us. I've told the guys, though, I think the one important thing with our program is to understand that we are the championship team, right? We're the team to beat, right? We have that bullseye right here. And so, guys, the teams are going to gun for us. And I think that mentality needs to instill that this is a top program, right? You guys are the team to beat, and that mentality needs to stick, right? And I think if we can be consistent on that and understand that, I'm not saying to be like, to a certain point like cocky or something like that, but it's more of being humble and knowing again that, the pressure's on us because people are going to gun for us because we are the champion.
How big is it to just rely on a couple of guys coming back from all conference with Mike and Hugo?
Well, it is. It's again, as I mentioned before, those guys are my outlet. They're my avenue. They're the guys that I'm going to turn to, and obviously for advice. To be leaders, right? Again, Mike has been a big asset for me. Hugo as well, I think, on the international side, because again, the biggest thing with the men's side. When we talk about it is how do we get this to mesh, right? We have all these international guys. We have all these cultures. Again, our locker room is definitely different from most locker rooms. You know what I mean? It's not easy, right? It's not like, we're all from the same town and we're all from the United States. You got all these, different religions, different cultures, different, attitudes and how you come across. So again, they've always helped out, right? I think at the end of it now we're meshing, we're coming together. We call it, right, the common culture, the common language, the common religion. And because again, we have to have everything be that common, the goals and objectives and everything else to be able to move forward. And Hugo, like I said, and Mike are just, again, veterans that hopefully will continue to lead us and help me out and continue to grow.
Yeah. What are you desiring to accomplish in the preseason kind of camp?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of hard, right? I think there's so many different things we want to accomplish here, right? When you build a program, you're hoping that things just work out, right, and it's all there. But I think early on, especially with our scrimmages, is trying to just figure out the pieces, right? Who's gonna step in, right? Who are my starters? Who are my 12th player to, the 18th player, and then from the 18th to the 30th player, and just making it a competitive environment. Scrimmages are a time to give everybody a chance to play, right? So they can prove themselves, because we commonly make that mistake on how does someone prove themselves when you don't give them the opportunity. So I'm always about that. And during scrimmages, that's the time, that they got to kind of figure it out, and they can also then, be honest with themselves and be like, okay, well, I'm not at that level yet. So definitely just continuing to build, right, and looking to take steps forwards from the scrimmages. The non-conference, obviously, it's on, right? That's the time when things count, and so then that's where, things change a little bit. But we got a strong non-conference, and I think that's what's going to set the tone early on, is playing these top opponents to kind of see where we're at.
You brought in, I think, 12 new players. Who's some that have kind of stood out so far this preseason?
I think it's been a mix, to be honest with you. I think from the lower classmen, my freshmen, my transfers, which are more experienced players coming in, we've been able to, recruit guys, that are kind of all at the same level, well balanced. Guys that are versatile, guys that can play different positions. Because especially at this level, you need that. I mean, injuries happen all the time. We already have guys that have gone down, so you need guys that are going to be able to play numerous spots. And that's what I've always told them. Don't just pay attention to the one spot. Pay attention to everything, because you never know when your name is going to be called and where you're going to be playing. So, I like it. I like that. Our team from top to bottom, I think it's going to be competitive, and that's the idea, that day in and day out, right? From the freshman all the way to the top guy, they're going to compete week in and week out for a starting position, because it's only going to make us, right, that better of a team. And but again, I couldn't tell you specifically guys that were, that are there, but I just think that it's a well balanced. Group of guys that are competing for a starting position.
Yeah. What are the expectations for this initial season, and what will it kind of take to meet those expectations?
Well, again, the expectations are to win everything, right? I mean, that's the goal, right? The mindset needs to go in there and but we take it that one game at a time, like you always say, right? We want to win a GPAC. That's the first thing. We never won a GPAC. We've won a GPAC tournament, but never a conference, championship. So, again, to get to that, like we mentioned, it's got to be one game at a time, right? After hopefully winning a conference, then the conference tournament, right? From the conference tournament, leading on into getting into the final site, winning a national tournament, or getting in deep into nationals. So yeah, I mean, those are the goals and objectives, I think, as a team, right? There's obviously other ones in there where we want to focus on these certain things, but I think that if we do, then these will come. We have a lot of individual goals as well, obviously, when I meet with them, because I think that's equally as important, right? The individual goal then transmit into the overall team goal. So, I think at the end of the day, we're wanting to always take steps forward and keep improving, and the only way to do that is to continue to stay positive, work hard, day in and day out, practices, games, and hopefully we can get wins and keep it going early on, right, and get that run. And if not, we're going to face adversity and see how we obviously deal with that. But again, goal is to win everything.
Kind of shifting gears a little bit. Where did you kind of go for vacation this summer?
I really didn't have a vacation. Again, when first year coach, you talk about vacations. People always ask me, but as a coach, it's just, it's your work is your direct reflection upon your program. So, being a first year, it's obviously difficult. It's a big transition. From knowing the school, from the staff, from recruiting, from paperwork. I did do a recruiting trip to California for 2 weeks, so I was able to at least take a week there to be able to see my parents at the same time, and that was my goal. Other than that, I was at different camps, coaching, establishing relationships, and I mean Nebraska is pretty big, and so just trying to establish relationships throughout the state with other coaches and recruit, but no big vacations for this year.
Yeah. All right, so this may make some California come out, but if you only had one restaurant you could eat at for the rest of your life, where would you pick?
Man, I had a favorite steakhouse. I'm a big steak guy. They have them here too. So it's basically like a Brazilian steakhouse type of deal. I'm a big carnivore, so I would say that. I love my steak. My steak and potatoes and veggies. So, but yeah, I guess any steakhouse would be my favorite, my go-to place.
Okay. What if you could only watch one show for the rest of your life? I don't know if you're a big TV guy, but
I don't have a lot of time to watch TV. but if I did, I'll just turn on sports, Sports Center, and they have the ESPN Sports Centers in Spanish and English and different ones, and I'll sit there and just watch highlights and maybe just keep it in the background. But I'm always, working on recruiting or watching something else, and so shows. I mean, yeah, I really don't have a particular show, but I mean, Sports Center always helps.
What famous celebrity or athlete would you like to meet?
I would love to meet a coach, right? I think Pep Guardiola, obviously famous coach, Man City, won, not only there, but he's always been successful. He's won a lot. I kind of take after him a little bit in his coaching style and how he goes about things, but he would be one that I would love to sit down and just pick his brain and, continue to learn and grow and, get some advice from him.
Yeah. Obviously, you might have to draw on some of your past experience here, but what makes Concordia the best school in the country to you?
I feel at the end of it, it's the resources, right, and how Concordia, like I said, it is a family atmosphere. Like, I don't have family here, right, but this is my family. So it's just everybody being helpful, right? Everyone's been there for me from day one, just trying to get me to transition. That's from spiritually, mentally, or needing something to eat, just everything. I think that's what this school brings, and I think that's what we transmit as coaches, is what our experience was to now transmitting that into our players and helping them out. So it's just the experiences, I think, more than anything, on and off the field, and just everything else, like the facilities, and I think we do have one of the top facilities and around, and so. But again, at the end of it, it's that experience and transmitting it into your players, and hopefully, they get the same experience we did.
Yeah. Got any hobbies outside of the sport you're coaching?
I like to play golf. I'm a big golfer. I don't have time to golf now, and when I do get an opportunity, I'll definitely go out there, hit a ball, play 9 holes. Or I think golf is a good sport. I mean, people say it's a tough sport, but it also is a mental sport where I feel at times just being out on the course gets me away from everything and gives me an opportunity to kind of regroup and just refresh myself.
All right. Can you look at the camera and give me a Go Dogs?
Yeah, Go Dogs.